What's up everybody, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In today's video, we're going to be doing another Conquering Lufenia episode for you guys. This time we're going to be focusing on the Lufenia fight for the upcoming Arciela Lost Chapters against two Erode Mantises. But before we talk about that, if you guys are brand new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. That way you guys are not missing out on future uploads. And if you guys enjoy what you see on this channel, be sure to hit that like button and share this video, as it does help me out. As always, do not forget to check out the Tonberry Troops website, in particular moving to their guides portion where you can navigate to the Lufenia research portion of their website. Here you will find comprehensive guides on every single upcoming Lufenia fight for Global Opera Omnia, how to deal with the Lufenia Orb, what are some key examples for characters that you should take, and also which boss mechanics to look out for. Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about Conquering Lufenia for the upcoming Arciela Lost Chapters against the Erode Mantis. Alright guys, so we're going to be seeing the return of the Erode Mantis. Now if you guys are not familiar with these bosses, they came out when Arciela first released with her event, but this time it's going to be slightly different, as we are going to be tackling the Lufenia version of this fight. First of all, let's take a look at that orb. So the orb is going to be appearing at the 79% HP threshold at a 20 count, and it will remain throughout the entire battle. You can increase the count by +10 by dispelling their buffs. Some boss notes that you want to look out for is, first of all, these guys are going to be immune to Paralyze, Lock, and their own debuff, which is called Fluke. So if you plan on taking Yuffie to this fight and you're going to try to throw on that Fluke debuff right back at them, unfortunately that's not going to work. Now something about this fight is that because the orb requires you to dispel a buff to increase the count, you want to keep in mind that these bosses will not always be buffing themselves, so you may want to consider actually allowing them to take a turn, so then that way they'll have a buff for you to dispel, because otherwise you may end up finding yourself eating the Lufenia orb. So some great options for that are, for example, Arciela is actually great for that, but the thing is, because she is AoE dispel, you do have to time that properly. If you don't want to take Arciela to this, other great options is Cloud with his World of Illusions weapon, because it allows him to dispel one buff at a time, which may be more ideal rather than doing an AoE dispel. You can also opt to take Beatrix, because Beatrix with her debuff allows it to dispel one buff randomly. But do keep in mind that when you do use her LD, she will cause an AoE dispel. So you want to allow these bosses to act, so then that way they can give themselves the buffs that you need to control the Lufenia orb. And then another character who could be fantastic for this is going to be Balthier, because Balthier with his Global First LD is going to be tremendous for this with his auras and his abilities to steal buffs. Now some other things that you want to keep in mind for this fight is a gray aura will be appearing around these enemies, and you'll generally know when this happens because it's going to say like they're starving, and then they're going to follow up with an AoE Brave plus HP attack that is a guaranteed hit. So evasion's not going to work against this, and when they do this, they're also going to be dispelling all of your party's buffs. So that's going to be the one that you really want to watch out for. So if you have a character such as, for example, Arciela, who has HP attack silence, or for example Kefka, who could do the same thing, that is one way to prevent that. So then that way you'll make them lose the aura, and you're also going to protect your own buffs from getting dispelled. Now Gluttony Sickle, which is their AoE attack that I just talked about, will also be inflicting that framed debuff called Fluke, and what that does is it's pretty much an HP poison. So just keep that in mind, that you will be having to deal with that as well. And then at the 79% and the 49% HP threshold, they will be gaining a large Brave gain, which is around 60k and up. So for example, if you have Arciela's LD, the effect of that LD debuff is that it prevents Brave gain. That's something that you could consider, or you can actually opt to take a Setzer friend unit and just apply the freeze debuff, so then that way if you know you're about to reach those HP thresholds, you can actually stop them from gaining that huge Brave gain. And then something else that you want to keep in mind is that if you happen to kill one before the other one is going to be getting a heal of 100,000 HP, excuse me, and they're also going to be getting buffs to their max Brave, initial Brave, and defense. So we've covered some characters that we could use for this particular fight. Other characters characters that are also fantastic is Onion Knight, who is going to be synergy for this because he is the featured burst character for this particular event, is great because of his free ability usage that he gives to the party with his LD ability, and then you could use that on Arciela, which allows her to be able to use, for example, her skill 2, which applies that HP attack silence. And then Ramza having that insta break is also awesome for this because that way, if you do happen to run into that huge brave gain, you will be able to just auto break them, which is very, very significant. If you are going to be using Cloud for your Dispeller, keep in mind these guys are immune to Paralyze, but it shouldn't really matter because as long as you're allowing them to take their turns and give themselves buffs for you to be able to control the orb, it shouldn't be that much of a problem. You can also opt to use Warrior of Light. Even though they are immune to being locked or taunted, his shields can actually help mitigate some of the HP damage that you're going to be eating. And then I know this is going to get asked, but can you use Vincent for this? We've seen that Vincent is actually quite good in the recent Lufenia for Onion Knight's story. In this one, I actually think he's going to work very, very well. Just be sure to run him with a very good Dispeller, so then that way you could time his very powerful and potent debuffs and be able to take advantage of them, allowing your party to receive less damage and at the same time being able to deal more damage to the enemies. Hopefully this video helps you guys prepare yourself for the upcoming Lufenia for the Arciela Lost Chapters. Thank you guys again for watching. This is 40 the Broadway Saiyan signing out. Mahal, everyone.